experiment was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
A kill list was intercepted. It says everyone in this room will be dead. You're number 2 on the list. Well, who's number 1?
An unknown, a civilian.
Look out for Charlie.
I want him down.
Alright, I want to talk about a few things in this video. This is a video that I put out a long time ago called Got Dust. And in this video I showed different examples of the dust that I found within my home that would pile up at a very rapid rate. And here you will see what looks like fibers, clear fibers, with almost dried blood inside them and around them. So let's check this out for a minute. Fibers everywhere, held together by coagulated bloody substance that looks more like a scab than anything. That is what's holding all this shit together as a dust bunny. And like I said twice already, it's not an anomaly. This isn't one piece of dust that I found, it's everywhere. Here's another sample, and hang in there, this is going somewhere. And here is another sample where you can almost see like a skin looking substance around it. Blue fibers there, clear and bloody. I want to talk about what people are finding in the skies. There are different types of persistent contrails, we'll call them for this video. Some of them are just flat out coal ash or fly ash, which is aluminum, barium, strontium, and it basically mimics like a volcanic eruption. So let's check out a video on that very quickly. Now this is old, but a lot of people haven't seen this. These are former commercial airline pilots and US biologists and other people talking about this. Let's check it out for a minute.
The contrails, not the chemical, the contrails occur because of cold air, minus 30. It takes a high altitude, around 30,000 feet plus. There's carbon dioxide and water vapor in that exhaust. That turns to ice crystals.
And check her out. She's just like waiting to get home to her cat and her frozen dinner. It's pretty funny.
That's what you see, the white stream behind it. Those white crystals of ice warm up, dissolve, and it goes away. And it never lasts more than a minute. What we're seeing now, and I first could not believe it, and I started looking at the skies, and these are not normal. They're not natural. There's something going on. I don't know who it is or why they're doing it. All I can testify is it's not natural and it's not normal. It's got to be some outside influence doing that.
And we're finding high rates of free aluminum in the soil, which is not natural.
The metal compounds that are being used are environmentally dangerous. We need to be monitoring them. We need to be testing them.
So you can't see it, but he's a former military meteorologist, fish and game biologist.
Be testing them.
Okay, these previous guys, I watched exactly what they do, and yes, they are correct. I've seen exactly the same stuff, so ditto marks on those. You want some figures? Okay, latest water test, tested the rain. 13,100 micrograms per liter of aluminum in the rain in 2013. Normally, it should be 0.
So it should be 0. All these people out there that think they're part of a different group, that think they are part of a special class of people because their bodies are behaving differently, they are nothing but poisoned. They are poisoned people who believe that they are special because their hormones are operating differently. They are not any different than anybody else. They are just poisoned. Aluminum poisoning will cause all kinds of things. Mercury poisoning, heavy metal poisonings of all different forms cause strange behaviors because it is Mother Nature saying, no, you are not going to have children. So it will do strange things to you so that you are not passing on your genes.
So 13,100 is pretty damn much, folks. It used to be 0, then it was 100s in the 2000s. And then since 2010, it's into the 1,000s and the latest 13,100. In the snow on Mount Shasta, pristine Mount Shasta, 61,000 micrograms per liter, 4 times the amount that is found in the soil up there.
So it's getting out of hand, and it's been getting out of hand. This is very old. So there are 2 types of trails in the sky. There are the aluminum, barium, fly ash, coal ash chemtrails, and then there are what I call biotrails. What they have been finding in those trails are fibers, just like I showed you in the dust video, and blood, dried blood, and other strange particulates that should not be in the air.
In 2000, the year 2000, gathered at high altitude on a mountain in New Mexico, showed the presence of those fibers, whose structure matches exactly the tubular filaments. When I say fibers and filaments, basically interchangeable, showing up in our blood, tissues, and skin. Additionally, the samples collected showed, and was called in biology, desiccated erythrocytes. This is a multisyllabic term, but it means dried red blood cells. So, why these were in the air? Why are dried red blood cells in the air? Very puzzling. A medical microscopist, a biologist specializing in microscopy, confirmed that they were human red blood cells, but that they had been engineered in some way so as to be preserved. The formation of red blood cells and submicron-sized structures. So now you've got a filament making its own red blood cells.
They're saying that these fibers themselves, what I showed you in that video, are creating the blood cells. I can't say that for sure. I haven't seen that personally, and I've looked at a lot of this, but this is what they're claiming.
The engineered cells, the red blood, very, very tough, withstanding excesses of heat and chemicals, indicating that they are designed to endure almost anything.
So there are two types of persistent contrails. These biotrails and these coal ash aluminum style trails. Something happened, and a lot of people don't know about this, and I'd like to show you this. This is not my video. This is somebody else's video, and I'm having a hard time finding the original uploader because of BitChute. With BitChute, somebody gets a hold of the video and they re-upload it, and then you cannot find the original person, and they never link back to the original. So it's a pain in the ass. But this guy put out a very, very good video on an event that happened in Connecticut. Now I want to show this to you. In all strange events like this, there is always a anomaly where something happens for the first time in history. Now this is a guy who did some amazing research, and if it's you, contact me and I will give you credit for it. I feel shitty playing this without giving credit where credit is due. But here we go. Check this out. This guy found an anomaly within what happened in Connecticut. No keywords here. He's going to explain it to you very clearly and show you that it only happened one day in about a decade.
The program is linked to the Aqua Terra Weather Satellite Archive, both orbiting every 90 minutes, constantly taking imagery as they go. The Terra satellite takes all the AM pictures, and the Aqua satellite takes all the PM pictures. So I bought the app, World Daily, installed it, and immediately put in the date December 14, 2012. I was blown away by what I found. Dozens and dozens of miles of airspace were completely covered in man-made trails. As I went on to try to explain these trails, I searched daily flight paths every few days, but the traffic wasn't even close to matching these patterns, these trails. Every day I monitored the flight paths in Connecticut. They never had traffic. I tried to check the airspeeds of that day in an effort to judge when the oldest trails might have been sprayed and kind of work my way backwards from the satellite images. I even tried sending the satellite image to a dozen or so meteorologists, weather institutions, and universities in hopes of getting a better explanation. To try to explain these trails, I found the satellite tracking data for the Terra satellite and was able to timestamp the image to be at 15:13 UTC time, which is 11:13 a.m. Eastern. And when I went through the police dash cams...
This is the only day in history where these trails are present. The only day in history. And you can see them being laid down there. We're going to fast forward through this a little bit. Coming through the area. Right there. Let's go back there. It's the only day in history where all these persistent contrails are covering this area so that you cannot see at all. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if this was being done so that another country couldn't view it, or what the deal is, but it is the only day in history where contrails covered that area. Very interesting, right? And there goes down a plane laying down a regular contrail. Let's check it out again. Right there. Regular contrail. And they're everywhere. Just absolutely everywhere that day.
I've actually scanned every single day of satellite imagery starting from 2010 through 2011, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 2017, all the way up to today. Altogether, I've scanned over 5,000 daily images, and December 14th, 2012 is the only day in satellite history these trails appeared.
The only day in satellite history. So it appears that these are the basic coal fly ash type trails that are used. So there are two types of contrails, and I wanted to discuss that, and I wanted to show you this video because it's very important and not a lot of people have seen it. Now, a long time ago I picked up and put out a video about Explore With Us, which used to be a channel about a dude and his kids that went exploring around to these places. They quit doing it and they sold it to these people that do crime videos now. That's basically what happened. And I caught this audio anomaly where this dude who is talking to himself in a police station, there's actually a voice there. Well, somebody is paying attention because there is a new video on Explore With Us where you can clearly hear a woman. Now, I'm not going to play you the video, I will play you the audio. So this is where, this is the original video where they start saying that he's suffering from an audio hallucination.
I understand, sir. There's evidently no one in the room with Russell, so he's either vocalizing an imagined dialogue or hearing someone who's not there. If the latter is true, this could be an auditory hallucination.
How are they so sure that nobody's there? I hate using the word, but how are these normie dimwits so sure that there's nobody there? Are they positive? Are they sure? Is there no one there? It says, he'll probably ask. He'll probably ask. Play a different version of that. Play a different version of that. Play a different version. He'll probably ask. He'll probably ask. It gets even better because right before he says, oh, I'd rather just answer, where they accuse him of being schizophrenic.
Rather just answer.
Rather just answer. Well, right here. So it shows that there is a voice before he is talking. There are voices in the room. Now, it gets clearer in the new Explore With Us. They are paying attention because they begin making excuses as to why the voice is in there. This is awesome. So in this video, this guy is being interrogated and you begin to hear a woman's voice talking.
I said, if you're going to do it once, you're going to do it twice.
Mm. So how did it break out from that point?
We put,
And then a couple weeks later, I sit down.
In the background of Carl's interrogation, a woman's voice can be heard. This voice is believed to belong to his wife Cindy, who may have also been speaking with investigators in another room at the same time as him.
If Explore With Us would have done any research at all, interrogation rooms are very, very well soundproofed, so that you can't hear what the other person is saying in the room. If it was that easy to hear, they would be in a lot of trouble with interrogations because you would be able to hear everything that was being said if it's that clear. It's an absurd excuse to come up with. In fact, a simple Google search of an interrogation room, the walls of an interrogation room need to provide a high degree of soundproofing. It is important for privacy purposes that communications that take place within the room cannot be heard in adjacent rooms or in the hallway. I mean, it's just silly to think that voices are carrying that easily into a room. So let's keep going here.
This voice is believed to belong to his wife Cindy, who may have also been speaking with investigators in another room at the same time as him.
Now, if that was really the case, why would they need to come into the video and tell you that? What is the purpose? If it was just a woman's voice, they would just ignore it and they wouldn't care, right? Now let's listen to what the voice says at one point. It says, "There's no doubt in my mind."
There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind.
And it's weird. There's no doubt in my mind. It's like a sing-songy, right?
There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind.
Once.
How we just look. How we just look.
That was his fault.
How we just look. There's no doubt in my mind. How we just look. How we just look.
So they're trying to say that's the wife. It would have been very easy for Explore With Us to find a sample of Cindy Carlson's actual voice, which I have found here. And I'm going to play it for you. Let's check it out.
About the fire was that he was able to pull the children out.
That's not the same person. Her voice is smokier. It is deeper.
About the fire was that he was able to. About the fire was that he was able to.
Now let's go back.
No doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind.
The fire was that he was able to.
That is not the same person. Websites like Explore With Us are paying attention, and they are carrying water for these people when these audio anomalies happen in recordings. It's pretty funny. Now this is a surveillance system first and foremost. It's quite possible that this system fucked up. It screws up a lot. And it's very possible that a voice was picked up by the camera and the audio recorders that wasn't supposed to be there or was not supposed to be in that room. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a B2K or a ghostly technological voice. This could actually be somebody else's voice that's being carried and accidentally picked up. And I'm going to show you some of the anomalies in that audio. When this woman's voice says, "There's no doubt in my mind," you can hear a system running and actually interfering with the recording. Let's check it out.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Once.
How we just look.
He was more.
And then it comes in right after it says that was his fault.
How we just look. How we just look.
He was more afraid.
And that's really crazy. Now when you get deeper into it, there's stuff in the background of this whole recording. Check this out. Now listen, you can actually hear the sound of handcuffs being closed. Is that ghosts and ghouls messing with this guy? It almost sounds like backwards voices there. Now let's listen to one more version of that that shows exactly what's there behind everything. You can actually hear the system fuck up. Then you can hear the actual handcuffs being closed louder. It's insanity. And then they're trying to say it's the guy's fucking wife. Come on, man. And now I want to talk about the kid that was ghosted from that event that happened at that school in Colorado in 1999. While all these other stories keep going, they ghosted him. Not only did they ghost him, but they destroyed him. His name was Mark Taylor. And he went on a rampage against SSRIs and different types of mental medications. right? So I want to show you how lucid and how capable he is of talking here. So let's go ahead and play this for a minute.
Well, with your choices? Or are you just allowing the drug companies to squeeze by you just because they have a big pocketbook? This is ridiculous. Do you people have children? Have any of you had anyone that's died on these drugs? If you have, I'm amazed that you guys are even standing here supporting these drug companies. This has never happened in the history of America.
This kid is clearly lucid. He can talk. Well, not long after he began this campaign against the drug companies, he was traveling with his mother. Here's where it gets strange. He began to have strange effects happen to him that are very familiar if you follow this channel. He began to have what he thought was a shaking in his brain or vibrations. Things began happening. His mother thought that he was having a stroke. So she took him to a hospital. At that point, they immediately locked him up in the psychiatric wing of this hospital, committed him, and began pumping him full of the drugs that he rallied against. This is one of the craziest stories that you've never heard before. So, they're traveling. His mom thinks that there is something wrong with him, takes him to the hospital, then they lock him up and pump him full of medication. Then he begins having RF weapons used on him. She doesn't know this. This is what's happening. I'm going to show you a video of what he's like now. They completely and totally destroyed this kid. Destroyed him. A little more information on Mark. He released a book. And they actually said that he was going to, after they locked him up, they said that he was going to spam a Borders books, which is hilariously hilarious. This is back again when he was lucid. I want you to see this.
High school, when he was shot at least 7 times.
They see it on TV, but it's not the same as actually being there in the action, having bullets fly past your head, having 1 second you're in normal prison, next minute your life's over with.
One other thing that I would like to say is he was never hit around his head, around his brain, around anything. They locked him up after he began talking in a way that they didn't want him to talk. If he was talking about guns or talking about anything else, they would have never done this to him. He was rebelling in the wrong way. So, they locked him up and they started pumping him full of these medications. And this is in 2009, 2 years after they had got him and locked him up. Let's check it out.
Today's April 22nd, 2009. It's been 10 years and 2 days since the Columbine shooting. And I'm here today with Mark and Donna Taylor. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
And Mark, one of the things we wanted to talk about today was...
See, he's completely distracted. He is completely distracted by something else, and he can't focus on what the interviewer is asking him or saying to him. He can't even answer basic questions. His mother has to answer for him. This is totally sad and totally angering. They have destroyed this dude with drugs and with RF weapons.
What happened to Colorado Springs a couple of years ago? You were in Colorado Springs at some kind of a facility, is that correct?
And you can actually hear the crap in the background on this. You can actually hear it. And I'll do another video on that where we get in depth about what is in the background with this Mark Taylor video. He's cooked.
Facility? In Colorado Springs, did you stay at a halfway house or someplace?
The lighthouse?
Yeah. What was the name of it?
The lighthouse.
She has to answer for him. He can't even answer basic questions. And look how he is distracted when he is trying to listen. It's as though there is something else distracting him from listening. This is like the sickest inside joke ever. So they committed him, locked him up, made up shit, and pumped him full of the same drugs that he was protesting against.
Is it it hard for you to remember the lighthouse in Colorado Springs? Or would you rather not talk about it?
He can't even answer basic questions.
Denver, and you live in New Mexico now, right?
Well, yeah.
So who you been staying with when you've been up here?
When I was up here?
Yeah.
See, but when he does talk, that was very clear. When I was up here, like, it's totally clear, but something is keeping him from being able to think properly, which is the drugs and the RF weapons. You can absolutely hear it in the recording and tell that he is being assaulted with RF weapons. So they went after him. This is one of the cases where it actually is a whistleblower that has been attacked with this stuff.
When I was up here?
Yeah. Anniversary, who you been staying with?
It's madness. It's absolute madness. This should piss you off. Now, everything that I've heard from the mom, I have listened to countless interviews, every interview with her that I could. It's very vague what she says and her account of what actually happened. I would like to do an interview with her and really pin her down on a timeline and what actually happened. It's still very confusing. I have bits of information. I know that he was locked up against his will. He was pumped full of drugs, and somebody at some point claimed that he was going to spam a Borders books, which is absolute insanity. And this guy had written a book. Do you see the game that gets played? It's parallel construction. There's a plot. So what, he was mad because his book wasn't selling well enough or something? It makes no sense. It's retarded. And the guy wasn't violent at all.
It's hard to remember?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember writing your book?
Oh, yeah.
Well, tell us about your book. What's the book about?
Oh, it's about my, being shot.
What's the main point of the book?
This is horrible. This is horrible, but I need to get the mother and really nail down a timeline, because every interview that I've seen with her, it's pretty confusing. And the way the interviews were done, it was a long time ago. This was like 2012, 11 era YouTube, and even before that. And it was just really hard to follow and get a grasp on what actually happened. I need a timeline. But everything that I've heard so far, it seems as though he was locked up against his will, pumped full of drugs, and then hit with RF. And in the way it sounds, he was hit with RF weapons before that to get them to take him to the hospital in the first place, believing that he was having stroke symptoms or whatever, which are just vibrations. A lot of people that get these vibrations in their head, you can look up people asking questions on Google, like they feel like their brains are vibrating, or a limb or something. And when you talk to them and you talk to people who have experienced this, it is always identical to like a foam vibration, the exact way that a foam vibrates. And people need to know about Mark Taylor. This is crazy. It shouldn't have happened, and they took him down because he was talking about something that they did not want talked about. It's madness, and how far they're willing to go to take somebody out of the game. They took this guy out. You don't even hear about him anymore because they completely vegetabilized him. And if you turn up the volume on this, you can hear chatter and anomalies in the background through the whole thing. He was always mentally there, and then all of a sudden they lock this guy up and zap him. Just completely zip strip the kid. So it's totally messed up, and people should know about this. That's it for now. Look out for Charlie.
We must fight to regain our freedom, or everything is lost. Everything!
Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Everything is fine.
Look out for Charlie.